Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Okay, well, let's talk about the game this weekend, the AFC Championship game. We're going to have the Baltimore Ravens again against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be in Baltimore. We don't gamble, but I just checked out some things on this. Like, for example, the Baltimore Ravens are favored by 3.5 points. The over/under is 40, almost 45 points, which is kind of crazy. They just expect these two teams to just have kind of a shootout. So let me just ask, let's start with you, Ryan. What are you most confident in your Ravens and what they're going to be able to do on Sunday?
I've been most confident in their defense just watching game to game. It seems like whatever McDonald comes up with seems to work. Guys like Van Noy and Clowney are making plays consistently. It shocks me every week when they cut through and make a play, but they keep doing it. And then I'm confident too in having if Kyle Hamilton's out there, I like their defense to stop the other team. When he went out the end of that 49ers game and kind of garbage time, the Niners just moved the ball like crazy against them. As long as he's in the game, I feel like he matches. I don't know if they'll put him on Kelsey or what they'll do with him, but he's like a key piece on their defense of what they want to do. So right now, I have actually more confidence in their defense than offense week to week, even though their offense is strong too.
Yeah, which says something about their defense, though, right? Like, if that's the unit that you're most confident in. What about you, Travis? What your Chiefs? What are you most confident in the Chiefs?
Patrick Mahomes. And,
Mhm.
playoff Patrick is way different than regular season Patrick. He doesn't. He just plays exceptionally well in tough situations and especially against really good defenses. He's always excelled really well. So I think it's going to be one of those. The two forces collide. One of them's going to have to give. So either that really good Baltimore defense or Patrick, and but I have a lot of confidence that at least he'll play well. And that's how I kind of view it, because defensively they're beat up, and offensively, we already have a well-documented history of wide receivers and passes and stuff.
Right,
So
right. Even though it looks like they turned that around in the playoffs a little bit. Like Rice has
yeah,
been awesome, and Kelsey seems to be a little bit more rejuvenated. So
I
that's
think
good.
since that embarrassing Raiders game at home, it's like they almost have, kind of like, to use a basketball analogy, they have their rotation set. And it's like all these guys have learned their spot in that rotation. And I think that's calmed them down, believe it or not. I'm just speculating. That's what it seems, that it's like the same 3 or 4 receivers out there. And I think that's helped.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. Okay, while we're at you, Travis, what's your biggest question with the Chiefs? What's your biggest
It's
question mark?
it's the defense. Like right now they got 3 players that I know didn't practice today, that probably are trending towards, maybe 1 or 2 of them are trending towards not playing. And especially with that quarterback, you need to have a linebacker who's fast, that's going to watch him, Uh, and the Chiefs do have 2 linebackers that are really good about that. And one of those guys it may not play. And that's my biggest concern, is if Willie Gay doesn't play, it's going to put a lot of pressure on, I want to say, lower grade linebackers to watch one of the best players in the NFL. So
Right.
that's my biggest concern.
That's a good one. How about you, Travis? How about you, Ryan? What's your biggest question mark when it comes to the Ravens?
I think it's just beating the Chiefs, getting over the hump, and proving
Okay.
themselves in the playoffs with this team. Because I've seen the Ravens win a couple of Super Bowls in my lifetime, but this is the best team they've had that I can remember as far as balance, best overall team. So they just got to go on the field and perform that way. Doesn't mean they'll 100% beat the Chiefs, because the Chiefs got Mahomes and good coaching and stuff, but I think they're the better overall team, if I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree completely.
Yeah, I do too. And that's one thing, like when we were talking about the other game, like the Niners to me and the Ravens are the two most complete teams right now in the playoffs. And that's where the advantage is. The one thing though that the Chiefs have that the Lions don't is Patrick Mahomes, right? So that's what maybe the great equalizer in that. What's your biggest concern about going up against the Chiefs, Ryan, other than Taylor Swift?
And Jason Kelsey having his shirt off up there.
Yeah.
He was having fun.
Yeah, he was.
I think it's just the off schedule plays that Mahomes can make when a play breaks down, where maybe like Stroud was just getting rid of it to save himself. Mahomes can get out of there and make a play, and maybe make him pay for not taking him down. Or I trust Reed and Spagnuolo to call like good games too. So I don't expect them to come out and change something that was successful like the Texans did.
Right.
So the consistency of those things throughout a game just puts a lot of pressure on your team throughout the game. But I do think um, there's probably more pressure in the game on the Chiefs than the Ravens, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Because Taylor will be watching. Is that it? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What about you, Travis? What's your biggest concern with the Ravens?
See, I'm completely opposite. I think all the pressure is on the Ravens, and I really do think the Chiefs are playing with house money because of that talent gap. But my biggest concern with the Ravens is that they're not gonna make mistakes like Buffalo. They're not gonna put the ball on the ground. They're well coached, and if that running game becomes downhill, not only is it keeping Patrick on the sideline, it's also just hammering a defense that's already got some problems. So I'm a little bit worried with that, but the Chiefs will shake it off.
Yeah, there you go. Look at what you did there. I saw what you did there. Yeah. So it's funny because I would also like for me, it's partly Lamar Jackson too. Like the 3rd and 13 that you think you have the Ravens. Hey, we can play a little bit of prevent here and just give him whatever underneath, and then he runs for 13 yards and gets the first down. Those type of plays, like when you play a guy like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, they're so backbreaking because you're just like, oh, how did we allow that to happen? So I think that's something that if I were a Chiefs fan, somebody rooting for the Chiefs, I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to play this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I think it's the unpredictable, how they play unpredictable. It's not like the other game, Brock Purdy is not going to run off on you.
Right.
Jared Goff is not going to run off on you. These two in this AFC game, who knows? The difference is that Patrick won't have designed runs like Lamar. And yeah, I mean, and you're right. I mean, 3rd and long, and they get running around you're in man-to-man defense, and your backs are to him. Going to take off on you. So
yeah, and the fake slide is becoming a big thing among quarterbacks. So we'll
somebody's
see who pulls that
somebody's
up.
going to get lit up if the next time that happens.
I really think we'll talk. It's a different topic, but that's something I think the NFL got to get rid of because it's so annoying. Yeah. X factor for you, Ryan, for both teams. Pick one for both teams if you could. X factor.
For the Ravens, I know Mark Andrews might be playing, but I still think it's Isaiah Likely. Their offense started to do better in the second half when they targeted him. The receivers aren't necessarily like deep threats at all. They're kind of quick in space guys that get yak. And Likely is a tight end that can make big plays. He can stiff arm a dude in the head and make a 30-yard play. He can jump over and moss people. So I think Andrews will play some, but I'd like to see them focus on getting it to Likely 5-6 at least catches in the game. And then the Chiefs X factor, I'd probably say probably if that Noddy, their defensive tackle played, because he didn't play in the last game and the Bills ran for like a crazy amount. At least I read on the Chiefs site that they really missed him as a guy in the middle that could kind of plug things up because they're going to need to at least have some sort of resistance to the run up the middle.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about you, Travis? Give us a X factor for each team.
For the Chiefs, Chris Jones has to show up in this championship game. I mean, he played well the last two, but wasn't that, causing chaos. He needs to cause chaos. I think that's, and he did last year in the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. He caused chaos. Now, granted, the Bengals offensive line is Swiss cheese compared to the Ravens, but I think he needs to cause chaos. And for the Ravens, I really do think that, I mean, that tight end, if Andrews plays, that's one thing, but I just think the X factor will be not the defensive, the offensive line. Of course, it goes with my other thing with Chris Jones, but I think that is what will really make or break. I mean, obviously, I'm like talking in cliches, but yeah, I think that'll. I think that's the key to keeping. You got to get the Ravens off the field in
Yeah.
in 3 downs.
Yeah.
Period.
I think Pacheco is going to be important for the Chiefs
Checkers.
too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I also think the defensive line for the Chiefs. I mean, both of you mentioned one, but like just in general, just containing Lamar within the pocket. Don't let him get outside the pocket. Don't let him be able to step up with room in the pocket because and it's easier said than done, obviously. But that would be nice for the Chiefs as well. The this game's going to be fun. I think this is going to be the close game. I think that this game is probably going to be a one score game. But let me ask you, Ryan, how does the Ravens win this game?
I think they need to do what they've been doing all season, establish the run. And Lamar's usually the one that does it. I mean, when they had Keaton Mitchell before his knee blew out to pieces, he was a guy that could really get some of those chunk runs, but Edwards and Hill aren't going to really get you any chunk plays. So that's where Lamar's legs make the difference. You saw that in the second half of the Texans game where he just had like 75 yards rushing in the second half.
Yeah.
And that opened up to passing because that once he's starting to take off and run, guys are watching for him and then there's gaps to throw. And so I think they win the game if he can make those plays that he normally makes. I know the Chiefs have a probably better defense than most of the teams they've played, but I did say, some friends I was texting, the Ravens are plus 234 this year when Lamar starts. So they've been beating everybody by about 2 touchdowns on average when he plays. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I have confidence that he's going to make enough plays running the ball to at least open that up.
You did it to both my teams, right? Like, didn't you blow up both my teams this year?
And the Niners.
Blue Lions, Dolphins, yeah.
And the Niners, yeah. So
I think-
I don't know if you should be bringing that stat up on this podcast. What about you, Travis? How does the Chiefs win this game?
Uh, I I mean, obviously everything revolves around Patrick, and I think that it's got to be complete mistake-free football across the board. You can't have drops. You have to, convert 3rd downs. And I mean, when you mentioned Pacheco, and I think he's a big part of it, but I really think the thing that they win this game is if Andy Reid changes, goes completely off schedule, and just messes with the Ravens on doing a whole game plan that they haven't seen all year. And I think that's it. Because I mean, just like Brian said, I mean, the Ravens, I read that today that they have beaten 9 winning teams this year by 14 or more points.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's a crazy number. So, I think you just have to, change things up from what your typical operation is. And the Chiefs do have an idea, but I just think it does revolve around Patrick completely, though.
Yeah, there was some stats. I should have took a picture of it, but I saw it on Twitter. Like Patrick Mahomes usually plays very well against the Ravens too. So the Ravens D has to kind of throw something a little different at him too, I think. But I agree with Ryan though. Like this team is the most complete Ravens team that I've seen. So it's a little different,
Mhm. Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, let's predict the game then. Let's get your prediction, Travis. What's the score? Who wins? Who's going to Las Vegas?
I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be over the over number. I really do. I think it'll be like 31-27 ish. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs because, just like in the day of the Patriots, until somebody beats the champ, you just got to keep picking them. Am I totally convinced that the Chiefs are going to win? No, I'm like 51% confident because the Ravens are really good and that's a legit Super Bowl team. But until somebody beats Patrick again, I'm just going to pick the Chiefs.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What do you got? Who's going to Vegas?
I would also say the same score as Travis, but
I did too.
Really?
I'm gonna say 31-24 Ravens, but the only reason I think it's gonna be a little more high scoring is just the quality of quarterbacks, and both teams can run the ball. Ravens were like 14th or something against the run. They're not world beaters against the run, so I think Pacheco and some of these guys will get some yards against them. There will be some, whenever he can run the ball, that opens up other things. So I don't think it'll be like, 17-13 or something, it's going to be cold and windy. I expect there to be some offense and big plays.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I wrote it down 31-27 because it just seems like the right score. I don't know why. I think I picked the Chiefs to win. It's mainly because I'm with your logic, Travis, and I think too, like if you think of the last 3 weeks, who has been more battle tested, it would probably be the Chiefs, right? And that always concerns me when it's like almost like when you're playing a video game and you go from like rookie mode to all Madden mode, and it's like, oh yeah, there's some really good teams. Now I'm not confident in that pick either, but I'm just leaning on Patrick Mahomes and his experience. But I think it will be fun if either one of these teams get to the Super Bowl. And for your sake, Ryan, it would be nice for Lamar to get his validation. How often does the MVP, by the way? I know he didn't technically win it yet, but they don't typically get to the Super Bowl often, right? Like, isn't there a stat against MVPs getting to the Super Bowl?
I think
It's
last
almost
year,
like a Madden jinx, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
last year was like an anomaly.
Right.
actually.
Yeah. Typically, it doesn't happen. Yeah. So that also is a concern of mine. But so that's it. So Ryan, you got your Ravens. Me and Travis got the Chiefs 31-27. I want to get your prediction for the other game real quick though, just to see what your Super Bowl pick's going to be. So Ryan, who you have winning the other game, the NFC? Me and Clint already broke it down, so we don't have to go into too much detail, but who you got? Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.